So, Marc Shaiman, hello, thank you for coming. I'm Marco Souza, president of Musimagem Brazil. We are here from Curitiba, south of Brazil, in the Paraná University, with some students here and professors and teachers in music, audiovisual, and here João Batista, our member of Musimagem Brazil also. And the idea is talk few minutes with this great composer, Marc, and after that, we'll talk with Mychael Danna, other great composer. We are very happy. The festival, Musimagem Festival, is unique festival in America, soundtracks festival in Americas, and also unique in the world, made by composers that Gorka is a journalist from Spain, told us, because he has a website of all the soundtracks festival in the world, and he told us that we are the only festival in Americas with debates, workshops, concerts. Yesterday we had a great concert by Sphere Rock Orchestra playing soundtracks also by Marc and Mychael. So, João, introduce our guest and then we continue. Marc, thank you very much to be here with us.
Hello, Mark. Welcome.
Hello.
Thanks for accept our invitation for participating in this festival. Well, Marc Shaiman was born in New Jersey in USA. He won Grammy Award, Emmy Award, had 7 nominations for the Oscar, composed for a lot of soundtracks for movies, television, theater, and was the composer for many famous movies like The Addams Family, Little Miss Sunshine, and many others. For us, it's a pleasure to talk with Marc Shaiman. Well, Mark, for the start, could you tell us how you start your career in soundtrack universe, in the soundtrack world? How was the beginning of your career?
I was working with the actor comedian Billy Crystal, who I met when I worked at television show Saturday Night Live here. And I went on the road with him to play for his act. And he would do characters and I would play score underneath him. Oh, it's asking me to confirm my speaking language. I'm going to confirm I'm speaking in English. So I was on the road with Billy, and Rob Reiner was his great friend. And Rob Reiner heard me playing this kind of music behind Billy. And Rob had just started to decide to make When Harry Met Sally. And needed someone who just knew a lot of songs, the great American Songbook. And I got the job. And from that begat many, many movies. And I also was working with Bette Midler as a musical arranger and producer. And so I worked on the movie Beaches with her, helping to choose the songs. And so When Harry Met Sally and Beaches became great successes. And then Rob Reiner asked me to score the movie Misery. And that was when I first composed music for a movie. And that's how I got started.
One of the first good... What? Oh, yeah. Excuse me. In the many years ago, you have works for two success films like The Addams Family, like Sister Act, ajudando o tradutor, Sister Act foi Mudança de Hábito no Brasil. And was the impact for your career make the music for great successful movies like them?
I don't understand the expression. What are you saying? Souk Festival?
Blockbusters like
Blockbuster. Oh,
Adam's Family or Sister Act.
yes, the first 4 or 5 years I worked in movies, I had an incredible string of luck. Every movie was a huge souk festival, blockbuster. And then one wasn't. And then from then on, I learned, oh, they're not all that way. But for a few years, it seemed like I had City Slickers and The Addams Family and Sister Act and A Few Good Men and Sleepless in Seattle. Uh, but, that doesn't last forever. But I'm lucky to have worked on, quite a few movies that still to this day are constantly played. And thank God for that.
Hello, Mychael Danna is here also. Michael, welcome. Thank you. We are very happy. I'm Marco Souza, president of Musimagem. João Batista, member also the director of Musimagem. We are talking a few minutes with Marc Shaiman because Marc must go in few minutes or now. Can you stay a little bit with us, Marc? How is
A
your
few more
time?
minutes. I have my family in the next room starting Thanksgiving. Michael's 3 hours earlier, so I guess he's not.
Yeah,
Okay, no problem.
my family
Michael,
is still all asleep in bed. My teenage boys, so I have a few more minutes than Mark.
And I'm sure Michael is fascinated to listen to all about me and my career.
Actually, I am, Mark. I mean, it was fun. Mark and I, 6 months ago, were involved in a concert together for here in Los Angeles at Disney Hall, where we both composed pieces for a concert that was for the artist Robert Peake, who is very well known as a hand artist who did the posters for very major famous films in Hollywood. And then he also did some other paintings that I believe it was 10 composers in LA and were commissioned to write for. So Mark did one and I did one as well. And Mark, your piece was so incredible. It was the hit of the whole show.
Oh, I don't know. It was the whole night was gorgeous. Everyone's piece was so beautiful and so. I mean, it was just. I mean, I wrote a song and it took me a few minutes to write that song, and you guys really worked for weeks and months on gorgeous. It was a wonderful, wonderful night.
It was a wonderful night. I think the concert benefited from the fact that the strikes were on and all of us were unemployed. And so my piece was for the portrait of Mother Teresa. And I was so unemployed that I actually read 2 books about Mother Teresa as a way of kind of, avoiding actually doing the work. And but so eventually when I wrote the piece, I was really kind of focused on it. But yeah, that was an amazing night, Mark. And you are such a you're such an incendiary talent. So it was really fun to see you up there singing and just that's an incredible piece. And I can't wait for that album to come out and for the world to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. So, Mark, last question for you, and two questions only, or if you know a little bit movies from Brazil, soundtracks or music here in Brazil, and hope that you come also, Michael, to Brazil in some time. And talk a little bit your projects now and the future projects to the audience here, the Brazilian musicians, composers, students.
Um, the next thing I'm doing is another Broadway musical. This spring, we have created a Broadway stage version of the TV show I worked on a little over 10 years ago called Smash. So I don't know if that was made its way to Brazil. But some writers came along who have taken the songs that me and my co-lyricist Scott Whitman wrote, and they've created a whole play where the songs fit in, sort of like the TV show, but kind of different. And it's very entertaining and it's very funny. And that's what's next for me. And we'll see how that goes. Next year will be my 50th anniversary in show business. I started working when I was 16. And I just turned 65. So when I hit 66, I plan on leaving.
Wow.
I think 50 years is enough to put up with what it takes to stay in show business. So that's what I'm doing. Right now in Brazil, they're actually performing Hairspray. I almost tried to figure out a way I could fly down there to see their production, but it didn't work out.
Mark, there are in the soundtrack world some masterpieces, obras-primas, masterpieces. Thanks for the help. There are some masterpieces, like for example, the Mary Poppins soundtrack. Some years ago, you did the music for The Return of Mary Poppins, and you will need to work with a music that is a classic in the soundtrack world. How was work uh, with a classic, a masterpiece? Of course, you made a new soundtrack, and you was nominated to the Oscar included. But was a challenge. Uh, it was a challenge for you.
It was a challenge, and it was also a great gift. I grew up uh, at a time when the movie Mary Poppins was extremely meaningful to me. And I would say I learned everything I know about songwriting and orchestration from the 4 years old listening to that album over and over and over again. So I was very happy to get the job of creating the songs and the score for the sequel. And I got to write in a certain style that is what I've been trying to maybe write on other movies where directors didn't want a score that sounded like Mary Poppins music. So finally I had a director saying, it's Mary Poppins, right? Mary Poppins kind of music. So that score was one I really was happy to get to do, and it was very moving and emotional for me, the entire experience. And, you know, getting to be part of just that story and then being Oscar nominated for it for the song and for the score was nice. It would have been nicer to have won one of them, but I didn't. Michael can tell you what it's like to win. I only know about losing them. Uh, but it was still a thrill. It was a great, and basically a great way to finish, I think, my film scoring career.
Okay, Mark, thank you very much for coming. Who knows, we'll come to Brazil next time. And thank you very much.
Okay, you send an airline ticket, I'll come.
For sure,
Mark,
for sure.
Mark, just for your information, so right now the building I'm in is at Hollywood and Vine, and my neighbor directly upstairs is Glenn Ballard.
Ah,
Glenn's musical is playing at the Pantages next door.
right.
And yeah, I really don't want you to leave our business, and I want you to keep writing music, but from what I've seen of musicals, you're going to be well taken care of. So, yeah, you may not need to work anymore, but I hope to. I literally one day was walking into my building and Glenn was having a Hollywood star put right at our entranceway. Do you have a star yet?
Oh, funny you should ask. They don't want to give it to me. We have tried. My husband has tried for 5 years. The last year, I had letters written from Steven Spielberg on down. You wouldn't believe the people who wrote on my behalf, but they only, my name is not famous enough, and they just have turned me down every single time. It's been quite one of those reasons why I want to leave. It's like, man, damn.
Well, your musical is going to push it over the edge, because I think that's what did it for Glenn.
Well, yeah, I mean, the truth is, if I submitted it under theater, I would get it. Well, we figured I had enough of a film score career, and 7 Oscar nominations should have merited, a recognition of my film music. But if we do it for theater, I think, yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Whatever. Any chance to have people walk all over me?
It'll just be a continuation of what we do.
Yeah, exactly.
Mark, I wish you the very best with your show. If you're in Hollywood at the corner of Hollywood and Vine, come and visit me and Glenn.
Yeah, they're doing Some Like It Hot. My last musical is going to be there, I think, this summer at the Pantages.
Amazing. I'll be there.
Yeah, I look forward to getting your contact information, not over this YouTube, and I'd love to keep in touch.
I would love that too. You have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Have a beautiful day with your family, and yeah, I hope to see you soon.
Okay, thanks, Michael, and thank you, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, Mark. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Mychael Danna.
Hello.
You have a friend here in Brazil now, but he's not here in this auditorium, this space, because he is playing piano. He's from Spain, Luis Ivars. Do you know him?
Yes. That's amazing.
Luis is here. He will play piano tonight. And then he's the theater, play some piano to doing some rehearsal. And but I know we are friends since in fact, I lived in Madrid, and I was from Musimagem, Spain.
Right.
And that time, I think that could be a good idea to do in Brazil Association of Composers also.
Yeah.
And then in 2008, we start Musimagem Brazil here. And but I was living in Madrid. After that, I went to Netherlands. And then when I returned in 2015, I was president of Musimagem, and I created with all composers and colleagues the first Musimagem festival. And then now, after 10 years, we are here with you and João Batista talk about your great career, and we'll do talk with you. and great movies, Life of Pi, Little Miss Sunshine that was played yesterday. The orchestra here played your music. Is in the YouTube, Musimagem Brazil YouTube. Hope that you like. And I think the first question, João.
Hello, Mike.
Hello.
Welcome and thanks for accepting our invitation.
Thank you. Really nice to be here.
For start, how was your beginning in the soundtrack world? I remember that I don't know you for the first time with soundtracks work. I had many years ago a New Age album of you, if I am not mistaken, from the New Age label Narada. Syrians, the name of the album, if I am not mistaken. And for me, was a surprise when I discovered that you made the soundtracks when many years ago, of course. But how you start the work in the soundtrack world and in the music in general?
So I grew up in Canada, near Toronto, and as a kid, I was not very interested in films. I was only interested in music. That was all I cared about. And I liked classical music, and I studied classical piano and choir, and I was a church organist and a choir leader. I played in a band. I played keyboards in a band. Um, and I didn't actually even really like films that much, and I definitely did not like film music at all. I was just not interested in it in the slightest. Um, and then when I went to the University of Toronto, I ended up meeting these theater people who were really fun, and I hung around with them and spent time with them. And then they were putting on plays, and I would help them out with the sound. I would do sound effects, and I would do music for them. And then one day, my friend who I was doing a show with, and she was doing the lighting while I was doing the sound, and she said, "Oh, I know this a theater director on campus at the University of Toronto, and he's making a film. You should talk to him. He might need some music." And I met him. His name was Atamagoyan, and he made a film. I did the music for it, and we are still working together almost 40 years later. We have a film coming out actually next year. So it's been that's how I ended up in film music. And so at the same time, I ended up being a composer at the planetarium in Toronto. And so some of that music, and I mixed it with natural sounds of Canada, like the sounds of nature, and mixed it with like some of the planetarium music I did, which was very kind of ambient. And so I put out records, and I still continue with my partner Tim Clement to put out these Canadian sort of ambient environmental albums. We have one called North of Niagara that came out a couple of years ago. And but yes, so I fell in by accident. I fell into doing film music in Toronto. So I worked on this first film with Atamagoyan. Because we both came from the theater world, we didn't really know what was the right way to make film music. And so we just continued doing the kind of work that we were doing in theater. So it was very experimental. I mixed non-Western music, so Indian music, African music, Moroccan music, Vietnamese music, with orchestral music, with piano, with choir. So I used kind of just like in the theater world, I was very open. And because I was not a fan of film music, I wasn't trying to copy any of the traditional film scores. So I ended up by accident having an original sound at the time, although now it's kind of what everyone does is mix all these things. But I guess I was one of the first to do that. Um, yeah, so because he was a filmmaker's filmmaker, or filmmakers watched his work, they therefore heard my music, and so my career started to expand. First to New York with Mira Nair, with Ang Lee, and then to Los Angeles with other directors here in Los Angeles, where I live now.
Another question. You
Yeah.
have some soundtracks that you make with Jeff Dana. How is the collaboration in soundtracks of you two? How is make music in the family for a movie? For a movie?
Uh, it's really fun. I think, the first thing to know is that film music is very collaborative. Um, you can be a wonderful composer, a wonderful musician, but if you don't enjoy the process of collaboration, of working with other people, then this is not the right um, thing for you to be doing. So I love collaborating. I like it when other people bring ideas and challenge you. I think because so my brother, I'm the older brother. We both played in bands together, rock bands when we were younger. And so we were used to working together. And then when I started getting more film work, once I had him play guitar on one of my films, and then I said, well, why don't you try to write this piece, this cue? And then he did a really great job. And then I sort of gave him more. And then he ended up getting a television show on his own. And so his career took off. He actually moved to Los Angeles before I did. So I was in Toronto, he was in Los Angeles. And then yeah, we just from time to time, I would say once out of every eight films or something, we would work together. And then especially on animated films, because animated films usually have a lot of music. So you have to write 90 minutes of music or more for an animated film. And rather than having a lot of assistants write for me, I'm more comfortable writing with my brother. You need someone else. Like it's almost impossible to write an entire animated score by yourself. So normally composers have ghostwriters or assistants. But with my brother and I, we do pretty much all of it ourselves between the two of us. And we worked on 2 Pixar movies, The Good Dinosaur, Onward. We've worked on yeah, a bunch of animated films together, The Breadwinner, um, yeah, so storks and all kinds of other things. So we've really had a lot of fun writing together. People always ask, well, is it difficult? Do you fight because you're brothers? And the answer is sure, yes, we do, but it makes the music better. I think we're a little competitive too. So if my brother writes a really good piece of music, I feel challenged. I feel like, oh, I need to do better than him. So I need to write a better piece. So I think we bring out the best in each other. And yeah, I mean, look, when you're making music, you always feel passionate about certain things. But usually one of us will feel, if we're having a discussion, one of us will usually be more passionate about one of the ideas than the other. So the other will go, okay, well, let's try. Okay, we'll try your way, and then we'll see how it goes. So, and the fact that we are both quite different, even though we of course grew up together and we have all the same musical influences, he's a different writer than me. He has different strengths, and I have different strengths. And so together, I think we can do pretty much anything. We've got it all covered. So it's always been really rewarding, and yeah, wouldn't hesitate to do it again.
Great. How about your creation process? How is, for example, I'm composer of soundtracks also, and I always use my piano. I must be in my piano to create. And you, how is your process? If there is the same process or depend of the project, and tell us about your process in Little Miss Sunshine and Life of Pi.
So every film is different. It's a completely new experience, which is what keeps you kind of fresh in this business. I've been doing it for almost 40 years, and I'm still scared when I start a new project because it's very unknown what you're going into. So not only the relationships, the people you're working with, the way that you're going to collaborate it's different every time. Who has the strongest opinions, who has the kind of final say in the process, what kind of language you use to collaborate when you're talking about the music you're making, and then the story itself, and everything you do in film music, it all comes back to the story. What is the story, and how can we help telling it through the music? And that's really the challenge of what we do, is trying to discover the essence of the story, the truth inside the story, and then to help express it musically. So it is literally different every time, how you approach it. The working relationship and the story are different every time, and so it's different every time. Sometimes I do write at a piano. Sometimes I literally write on score music sitting in a car. I've done that. Sometimes I'm writing it on guitar. Sometimes you work with a Persian ney player, and then you work from that. So it depends on the story and what you're doing, but and that's what's kind of, it's intimidating about what we do, is that there's not a way to do it. You have to figure out the way every time for each film, and it eventually becomes clear, but there's a lot of uncertainty and a lot of kind of feeling your way towards what the best music for the story is. And yeah, it's exciting. It's, like I said, it can be intimidating and frightening, but it's also very, very exciting when you find the thing where the key just suddenly turns the lock and the door opens, and it's such a good feeling that it's almost worth all the pain that you go through to get there. But yes, well, I mean, we can talk about like two very different processes. So Little Miss Sunshine is a great example of an alternate way of doing a film score, because they had originally hired the band Devotchka, who are based in Denver, Colorado, and they hired them because their songs, the filmmakers heard their songs on the radio and said, oh yeah, that band is perfect for this film, which they are. And so they put some of their songs in the film, and then they asked the band, oh, can you write some of the places where we need score? And of course, the band is not experienced in writing film music, so the songs were working beautifully, but the score not so much. So they asked me to come in and work with the band. So I came into a situation where the band was already part of the picture. And again, they're the perfect concept, because if you think, what is Little Miss Sunshine about? It's a dysfunctional family of people who don't really belong together, but somehow they make it work, and they're brought together, the bond of, togetherness and love and family feeling brings this bunch of weirdos that don't really belong together. And what is Devotchka? Devotchka is a band of instruments that you don't really, and influences that you don't really think should go together. You have trumpet, you have a tuba, you have a guitar, you have drums, you have, accordion, you have all these instruments, and influences that are on the surface are kind of strange, but they work beautifully together. So what I did is I came in and I decided to write the score using their instruments. So the band Devotchka would play the score that I wrote as well. And I took some of their themes from the songs and spun them out into the score. And I wrote some of my own themes for things that were not kind of being covered. And so together we made a score. Again, I've never done that again. I never did it before or again, that method, but that's how film scores are. They're just going to be very different every time. So.
Yeah, in the theme of Little Miss Sunshine is music that get out of the screen. I mean, the music is known in the world without the movie. This is
Yes.
fantastic when happened this. Like the theme survive more time than the movie.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And in the last couple of years, I've done a bunch of concerts with with music from different films, and I've always tried to make the music part of the film and part of the storytelling of the film. But yes, it is really fun and interesting when you take, the music of Moneyball and you play it live in a concert. It's really interesting. And yeah, you listen to it in a different way than in the film. So yeah, it's really fun.
About the life of Pi, you won an Oscar by the soundtrack, and which the Oscar changed in your career? The Oscar changed something?
That's a great question that a lot of people wonder about. And the interesting answer is, within the film business, I don't think it changes anything. Outside the film business, do you get upgraded to business class easier? Can you get a painter to come over to your house in his busy schedule to paint your house? Can you get a seat at a good restaurant? Yes, it helps for those things. I literally did. This is terrible. Like I'm really not this person, but I once. Well, I was flying back to Toronto from Los Angeles after I won the Oscar, and we were very tired, my wife and I, and we had originally bought a business class seat, but they put us in coach, and I said, "Look, is there any way, please, I know you have seats there. We had to change our flight because of this, and so I literally pulled my Oscar out of the bag and I put it on the desk and went, would this help me get upgraded?" And it did. So that's the funny, just for me, by the way, not my poor wife. My poor wife had to sit in coach, which she's never forgiven me for. But yes, so honestly, That is the only use an Oscar is. It is zero use in the film business. No one cares on the project you're doing now. No one cares about your last project. They don't. And it might have got you in the door for a meeting, but everyone, when you're in the middle of making a film, that's all you care about is um how are you performing for this film? It's very much like, I would say it's like, think of athletics, think of sports. Um, in football, what you call football, or what Americans, especially today on Thanksgiving, call football. If you're a football player, you were great 2 years ago and won whatever cup. No one cares if you are no good now, if you're not scoring goals. It's the same as in our business. So I don't know if are we having connection issues here? Are we okay? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Yeah, I was just trying to see. It looked like I was freezing up a bit here, but okay. Anyway, yeah, so that's the situation that here in our business, you really have to be as good as you have to perform at any given moment. So an Oscar makes no difference to um your work now. No one is going to hire me today because I won an Oscar. They'll think that's nice, and they're very nice. They're shiny. It's like sitting right over there. There it is. Um, but but it doesn't really do any good. Um, I'm going to change rooms. I feel like my internet is not good here. I'm going to go where I can plug it in. How's that? Or maybe this will be, let's see if this is better. I feel like I'm freezing. Let's come down here. Is this better signal?
It's worst.
Is that okay?
No, okay. Yeah, but
Okay. There we go.
okay. It's the same, but okay.
Okay. Okay, good.
Well, I asked Marc Shaiman about the composition for a classic music like the Mary Poppins. You did a soundtrack, you and Jeff, I think, a soundtrack for a classic character. That Mark did also the soundtrack for the Adams Family, but the Mark did for the live action, and you composed the soundtrack for the animation, the
Yeah.
Adams Family.
Yeah.
How was the searches, the look that you gave to the old Adams Family, the soundtrack of Marc Shaiman and the old animation for the 50s, 40s?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny that Mark and I both did work on the Addams Family in different times, and they're quite different, but and also because Mark and I are kind of the same age, we both grew up watching the Addams Family television show as little kids, and same as we both watched Mary Poppins when we were little kids. And so, yeah, that makes it, that always gives you extra emotional, connection to it when it's something that you've known all your life, a story like the Addams Family. So my brother and I, when we did it, we wanted to kind of bring out some of the Eastern European elements of the Addams Family and sort of make them give them kind of a sound that was a little more specific than and being Eastern European. And so my brother has all these wonderful wonderful stringed instruments from Turkey and from the Balkans and so on. And so he was able to perform those and yeah, just give a kind of more specific sound to the Addams Family, but still use the famous theme and the popular theme from it. So yeah, it was really fun to do that one.
Pode ligar. João, pode ligar. Great, great, Michael. We are here with some composers from Musimagem Brazil, and also the conductor that did the performance yesterday with your music. You will see in the YouTube of Musimagem Brazil. João will send you the link.
Great.
Hope that you like the piece, Little Miss Sunshine.
Thank
And
you.
we ask here also some students, because we are inside of the university. And we now ask if somebody wants to do some question for you. Somebody?
Sure.
Alberto, Beto. Quer, Alexei, perguntar? Come here, come here. The conductor, Alexei, is also a composer of soundtracks. And say hello to Mychael Danna, please.
Hello, Michael.
Hello, Maestro. Good to meet you.
Good to meet you too. Thank you very much for participating this year in the festival, and for your kind that you kindly sent me some scores to rearrange. So thank you very much for this. And it was a great pleasure to play your piece yesterday, and it was actually desafio, assim, como é que fala? Challenge. It was a kind of challenge, but I believe we did our best. So I hope you like it.
Thank you. I'm excited to hear it.
Okay. Let me ask you something. I know that you and your brother used to sing in choirs, right?
Yes.
In your childhood or teenager
Yes.
years?
Yes.
Okay. And Harry Gregson, vocês estavam falando dele, não foi?
Harry Gregson Williams.
Yeah. O do Mark. Os dois juntos, do Marc Shaiman. Ah, tá. Que eles fizeram e ele está fazendo agora, né? Sim, a animação. I'm sorry, it's not Harry. I was going to talk about. I was going to talk about Marc Shaiman. You both used to sing in a choir in childhood, right?
I don't know if Mark did. I'm doubtful of that. I think he comes more from a musical theater background, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's a different thing. But yes, he probably, I mean, I can't do an interview for him, but I think he probably was in musicals. I'm just guessing of the kind of music he does. So yeah, those early childhood musical experiences definitely color the rest of your work in your life.
Yes, and even if Mark didn't sing in a choir, he is very good in singing and composing songs, right? And I mentioned Harry Gregson Williams because I know that he went to choirs when he was a child, and his brother too. So
Yes.
his brother. And I would like, since we are at a university and we have a lot of students here, I think it's good to ask would be very good if you talk something about how the importance of singing since the childhood or teenage years, or even all the life, throughout the life, singing is important to become a composer or anything, or conductor, or arranger, or even an instrumentalist, a solist. I would like to know what you think about it.
Yeah, I think the singing is the, it's the original instrument. And as a little child, you learn to sing. And so yes, it's a vital part of any education. And I hope when I was in college, you had to sing in the choir, you had to play in the orchestra or sing in the choir for every year. And I think it's a wonderful idea. As well, I led choirs. And yeah, I think there's something when you're standing in a group of people and you're singing together, and you learn to listen, you learn to tune, you learn to sing together, and you're conscious of being part of a group. Yeah, and how to read without like pressing a note on a violin or a piano, to sing intervals and so on. So yeah, I think it's very important, and also really fun and really emotionally satisfying.
Yes, for sure. And I would like to as additional to this, as an addition, little addition to this, that is very important for preparing the students for the practice of chamber music.
Yes.
For those who are going to live as instrumentalists and solists, whatever, even orchestral players, right?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
very
for
good.
sure. It teaches you how to listen. And I see this all the time when I'm conducting orchestras. And if I have a pianist, the pianist is always the worst at listening to the group and being
Yeah.
in time and being in expression, because they spent their whole life playing by themselves in a room and not listening to other
Yes.
people. And
Yes,
so
definitely.
it is really, it's very interesting that it's always the piano. When I'm conducting, I have to like have my eye on the piano player, and I'm a piano player too, so I get it. But yeah, choirs and ensembles teach you to listen to others and to respond to them. And that's what's magic about music is this communication that we have with other players while we're playing the music.
Yes, definitely. That's a wise tip for the young
It
musicians
is. Sing
for
in
future
choirs,
professional.
even if you think, oh, I don't have a good voice, you sing in
Yeah.
choirs. Yeah, it's very important.
Thank you very much, Michael, and it's been a great pleasure.
My pleasure. It was great being with you this morning here. And here it's Thanksgiving, so it's a big American holiday. It's very quiet outside. Usually Hollywood is noisy and lots of sirens and people screaming, but it's very quiet today. So
Michael, how Marcos said, here there are many music students and movie students. And yesterday we have a panel about the market, where work with soundtrack. And one of the questions that was commented is that there are many possibilities uh, not only the movies or the television. For example, in the last year, Debbie Wiseman, the Britain, talked about the music that she made for a ship group. And you mentioned a beautiful project about the posters of Bob Peak that I think was organized by the by a friend of us, a partner of the festival, the Robert Townsend.
That's right, Robert Townsend. Yeah,
And there was music for posters,
yeah,
music for painters.
yeah,
That I want that you speak about this project
yeah.
and about the word for work with soundtracks.
Yeah.
And what you suggest to the people that want to start work with soundtracks?
Well, this is a great question, because we're in a time of great change, and I guess every time is always a time of great change. But for our business of soundtracks, there's a lot of upheaval right now with the streamer. The streamers have come in, and then there was like a lot of content, and now they're pulling back. Um, the the job of a film or television composer used to be kind of a steady thing that, but now it's very uncertain, and it's definitely under attack as far as our wages, and it's harder and harder to make a living doing this, especially for those younger people who are starting out. And so I think the thing I would suggest if you're a young composer is to stay very open-minded, be very flexible about what, keep looking around the world and see where music is wanted. And it's not just film and TV. Of course, there's games as well, which probably is a more lucrative area right now for a composer to be in. There's lots of things. And yes, and then there's concert music, like this Bob Townsend project of the paintings of Robert Peake, which was an amazing concert. It was really fun and inspired by a painting instead of a story in, in motion like a film or television. So I think young people just have to be really open-minded and looking around for opportunities wherever they are, and kind of being open to whatever opportunities come to them, because it's not going to be an easy time, and a predictable time as far as how to get work in film and TV going forward. It's definitely a new world that we're in now.
Great, great, Michael. Robert Townsend came here in our festival in 2019. Christopher Young, Bruno Collet, Laurence Rosenthal, Luiz Ivars, Bruce Broughton, and next time you can come also here in person in Brazil. Hope so. So we have a student here. Come on. Você vai falar inglês? What's her name?
My name is Gabriela, and I wanted to ask about your animated films, especially Surf's Up, and what were the choices and decisions behind the compositions of the songs and everything?
Thank you, Gabriela. Yeah, so Surf's Up was really fun because my son, who is now 19, was just he was maybe 2 or 3 when I worked on that movie. And so I found it very inspiring to have a little kid that I knew would watch the movie. I think the thing about animated films is that because obviously they're not three-dimensional human beings, actors that you're watching, you have to, and this is a great opportunity for animated films, you have to give a little bit more. You have to, the music has to supply more of the emotion and more, you have to, in a sense, like make the character 3D. And in live action films, sometimes if you say too much with the music, it will be too much because the actor's already there, being three-dimensional. So you don't need the music to do as much work to help tell the story, but in animation you do. And so, yeah, finding those emotional beats and really bringing them out and making it really clear. And that's basically what I do in animation. And so in that way, animation is more fun because I think you're allowed to do more. You're allowed to make bigger musical gestures, to be more emotional. You kind of have to in order to help the story come alive. So yeah, so that's I think how that works.
Well, the time goes on. Thank you very much for your participation. There are a lot of things to talk, but unfortunately, the time will go.
Yeah.
We wish that in future you would be able to come to Brazil in person. And thanks for
Thank
your
you.
evaluate evaluative for give your time to talk with us. And I will give the microphone to the president and director of festival. Say goodbye for you.
All right. Thank
Thanks.
Great, Michael. Thank you very much. Keep in touch. We are friends, colleagues, composers. And yeah, next
thank you.
time in person in Brazil. And also, if you go to, you live in Los Angeles?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And we will visit you, Christopher Young, and Bruce
Ah,
Broughton, and
wonderful.
Robert Towson.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you very much. I
see
wish
you.
you the very best. I wish your students the very best. And hope to see you in person someday.
Sure.
All right. Have a great day. Bye.